And I've met so many different people that have opened my eyes to how I see, different cultures and the way I live. And I have to say, like, everyone says, studying abroad changes you, but it really does. Like, I'm coming back a different person than I was, and a stronger, more confident person than I was. Honestly, I would say you have to do it. I'm Julianna Gallo, and I'm from the University of Connecticut.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about Connecticut. I don't know very much about Connecticut and the university there.
It's about I'd say 30 minutes to an hour above New York City on the East Coast.
Okay.
It's a pretty large state, I'd say. Lots of like farmland, very rural. There's a lot of trees and stuff like that around, mountains. I'm from New Jersey, but I go to the University of Connecticut, which is sandwiched between Boston and New York. I study veterinary sciences as an undergraduate major.
How did you decide to do vet science?
I think I always knew I wanted to be a vet. Ever since I was little, I loved animals. So growing up, I always loved animals. I loved being around them, and they always fascinated me. And also, as I grew up, science and medicine became a very big interest for me. And it sounds a little weird, but I also loved volunteering too, and giving back to my community. And so veterinary sciences is a way that I was able to kind of give back, but I also was able to work with animals and pursue my interest in science and medicine. And so it's something that I've always just been interested in since little, and I kind of just ended up carrying that throughout until I got to university, and that's what I decided to major in. So
Awesome.
yeah.
What made you want to study abroad?
So my mom always told me about studying abroad, and growing up I traveled a lot. I was very fortunate in that way, and doing that, it really was eye-opening to different experiences, different cultures, and it made me love like seeing the world and seeing what else is out there and meeting new people. And so because of that, my mom always really pushed me to study abroad and go abroad, and kind of, you can always visit somewhere for a few weeks, but you don't really understand the culture until you live there and you're integrated in it, and you get to really like see what it's like to be a part of that experience and part of those people. So.
And then why did you choose Australia?
I chose Australia because, similar to the vet kind of interest, I, for some reason, always wanted to go to Australia. Maybe because it's on the other half of the world for me, since I'm from the US. It just always was something that like was just so foreign and just so interesting. And so I kind of just decided, when I had the opportunity, everyone talked about, you can visit Australia in 2 weeks a month, but it would never be enough time. So I'm like, oh, I'll just spend 6 months here, kind of get to see a little bit of everything and, really take it all in, so.
Great, and then why Melbourne? Why did you choose Melbourne as a city?
So I chose Melbourne because when I was looking and I went to my, exchange office, they kind of explained to me that, I explained my major and they gave me the options, and they kept talking about how Melbourne was such a cultural hub of Australia, and there's so many young people there, and there's so much culture and energy and art and music and sports, and there's so much involvement that you can see and do and really get a feel for what Australia is and what's old and the history of it, but also what's new and upcoming in Australia. And also, Melbourne is extremely prestigious, and especially they have a vet school here. So their science and their research and stuff is a very, very strong, point to come here and study. And so it was kind of just the perfect fit for me, honestly, all around, between experience of abroad and also my, academics. So with exploring, I really realized that Melbourne has really a little bit of everything. It really does. It has, the beach, it has the city, it has the mountains not too far away. I'm a huge hiker, so I've gone hiking all around the place. Like, it really has a little bit of everything. And I think that's why, it has grown on me so fast, because I really could see, anyone here, depending on what you're interested in, it really has a little bit of everything for you. So
Tell me a little bit about the adventures that you've had outside of uni. So you said you've been hiking. Tell me about the hiking and just the other travel that you've done.
I've traveled quite a few places while I'm here, and it's hard because you're trying to balance your studies and, of course, and being here and experiencing it. But so I've done a lot of hiking on the weekends. I've gone out to the Grampians. I did camping out there. I've gone to the Dandenong. I've gone to Macedon. I've gone to a bunch of different other. I've gone to the Blue Mountains in Sydney. I've also traveled to Sydney quite a few times just to visit people, to visit other friends that are also studying abroad. I've gone up to Cairns, which is up in Queensland, which is northern Australia. And that's like a whole different culture up there. It's so different because you have the rainforest and you have the Great Barrier Reef up there, and which are beautiful, and you know, they're great places to like go experience, and it's just crazy how it's all in the same country, like how different it is from down in Melbourne compared to up there. And then I'm going out to the Outback soon, so I'm excited for that, and then I'm going to Tasmania, so I have a bunch of trips planned around.
And so, what's it been like studying in Melbourne? Like, before we get to the university, like Melbourne as a city, what do you enjoy most about it?
I enjoy most how, besides how friendly everyone is here. So since I live near New York, everyone is very much kind of like in their set ways and kind of does their own thing. Everyone here is super friendly. Like no matter where I go, people will smile and say hi, or random people have like stopped me and had conversations like on the side of like the road and stuff. I play ukulele, and like a person one time like stopped me on, like I was traveling down in the CBD, just like walking around, and I had my ukulele with me, and someone stopped me and was like, "Oh, you play?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they like literally like pulled me over to the side and like taught me how to do Hawaiian strum, just like out of nowhere. It was just like, "Oh yeah," like just taught me how to do that, and then like, "Oh, like bye," and like parted our ways, and like that would never happen anywhere else, but like here that just happens on a regular. But yeah, I would say I love how diverse it is and how much culture is. Like I keep saying that, but really like the music they have here, like there's so many different street performers or, you know, live performances. There's art, always constantly like art shows coming in, and I'm a big appreciation of the arts, and so it's really cool seeing like all different artists, and some of them are even Aboriginal artists, which is so different because, you know, that's really authentic Australian culture here. So it's really cool like hearing their stories about the past and how the artwork explains that. And you know, it's just really cool how there's so many different cultures here and how they all kind of like fit together and work together, and like there's just always something new to see. There's always something new to do.
You feel part of a community here?
Yeah.
There's something about this place, uni, Melbourne, Australians, has resonated with you clearly.
Yeah, no,
Like a really good sense of community, or family's maybe too strong a word, but you know.
Australia has a much different demeanor, I think, than the US does. The US is still like, you'll get like friendly people, but it's just, it seems like here everyone is like so much more laid back. Like there's such like a different culture here where everyone's like, you know, very laid back and very friendly and very much like people here don't, it's different. In the US, people live to work more of, versus here people work to live, you know? And so it's a different culture here because, you know, people are so much more about the experiences. And so like university is important and doing your job's important, but people are still like always put people first. It's not just, you know, even with professors, it's not like, oh, you're a student, it's like you're a person. So like I will talk to you like a person, and I will, you know, treat you as an equal. And, you know, again, walking around campus, people are always like friendly and willing to say hi and stuff, you know, versus, you know, sometimes other places I think people are a little more isolated, but yeah, they're just like, I think people are just so much more friendly here, and like it gives you that sense of community, that kind of sense of belonging. It helps you feel like more welcomed and fit in, and I think that's like a big thing with the transition. Like I've only been here for, you know, 3.5 months, but it feels like I've been here for so much longer because people just kind of made me feel like I belonged so quickly.
Let's talk about the Uni of Melbourne. What's the difference between studying at home in the States and studying here in terms of like the classroom experience?
So the difference between studying at home in UConn and here is there's a lot more independence here. So back in the States, there would be a lot more regiment. I'd be in class a lot more. There's a lot more like labs. There's a lot more of like in-class time, versus here, you still have in class time, but it's a lot more of you having the opportunity to kind of build your studying and your experiences around your own schedule. So here I'd only spend maybe 10 hours max, you know, in a classroom or in a lecture or something, versus at home I would spend a lot more time. And it's kind of nice because it really gives you a lot more time to kind of study the way that you study effectively. It gives you more time to kind of build a schedule where, you know, you can go seek the professors and still talk to them on your own, and you still have time to like balance your normal life. You know, you kind of can still work out a schedule where it's not going all the time and you're not, you know, constantly going from one thing to the next. It's kind of like if you need to study on your own or study a certain way, you have that opportunity to do that. Or you can, you know, go form study groups, or you can, you know, go have more time with a professor. Or if you want to get involved in research, you have the time to get involved in research or work or whatever it is that you do, you know.
Do you feel like you're treated differently by academics and professors here than you are back home? Like, not good or bad, just like the difference.
Academics here, as far as like professors and how you're treated, is about the same, I'd say, as the US. The only difference here is that you call your professors by a first name basis, which that never happens in the US. So like that was a little weird when they're like, oh yeah, just call me like Pete or something. And it was like very weird because I would be like, I would still want to say like professor or doctor or mister or something. So that was kind of different. And I guess that kind of puts a different feel because it kind of makes you more on the same level because you're on a first name basis versus, you know, in the US it's more of a, you know, I want to say authoritative, but it comes off a little bit more of like, I'm the professor and you're the student, you know.
Before you came here, did you know that this was Australia's top university? Did you know how prestigious, research intensive it was?
Before coming here, I didn't know. Yeah, I had no idea that Melbourne was the, you know, #1 university or the top university in Australia. I just was coming here for my own interests, and then as I talk to people, you know, even outside of university, like just people I've met in the city, they're like, "Oh, you go to University of Melbourne?" They're like, "Oh, wow, that's like a really tough school." I was like, "Oh, I had no idea." Like, that's just something that I'd never realized. But yeah.
Notice in any way the fact that, I mean, 'cause research is a big deal here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice that in some way, like whether it's in class or on the campus?
I definitely noticed that research is a really big deal here. First off, because they're always advertising it. They're always talking about the new research that they're doing or they're working on. And I think by doing that, it's a way that the university kind of can show the students that, you know, like your money is going towards, you know, life-saving research and life-changing research. But you can also tell by, you know, in classes you'll be reading something, an article or literature or something that's written by a professor, someone that is working at the university or went to the university. So it's kind of shows that like they're doing groundbreaking research here, and it's being implemented in classes and all over the world.
What about culturally, like atmosphere on campus? Tell me about the atmosphere on campus.
So the atmosphere on campus is, I would say, it's different from the US. In the US, it's much more centered where everyone kind of stays on campus. Here, it's more of people come to university to study and then they go off the campus to then go to other areas and to go to like cafes or different things. People, like a lot of people study on campus and there's always people sitting around on the quads waiting for classes and stuff. But I definitely say it'd be different in that sense because it's something that just like I'm so used to everyone lives in dorms on campus and everything's right on campus versus here you come on campus to do certain activities and to have things, but everyone also like is very integrated into the city, which is kind of a different, it's different than I've just experienced at home, but it's kind of interesting too because it encourages you to make friends here and then continue that friendship off campus. It's not just, you know, everything stays on campus and once you leave, it's, you know, you're in your own worlds, so.
It's been easy to make friends. Have you met a lot of new people here?
The cool thing with Melbourne is there's people that are from all over the world. So I've made friends that are Australian, I've made friends that are studying abroad as well, so from UK and Ireland, from Czech, from people from China, like people from Japan, like all of the people from South America. You know, there's just like so many different cultures, and it's kind of cool too because we all get to talk about our different experiences, whether they're living here for 4 years or they're studying abroad here. It's been really neat getting to like meet so many different people, and it also is really interesting because it's, you know, I came to study abroad in Australia, but I've somehow learned about like all different parts of the world that, you know, I never would even think about, you know, learning about their cultures while I'm here.
What's been the most interesting part of studying here at the University of Melbourne? It could be anything, right? It could be people you've met, it could be something you've learned in class, anything. The most interesting thing where you're just like, holy shit, that is fucking crazy.
The most interesting thing that I've experienced or learned here would probably be honestly about myself and about how like different interests that I have or different ways that I saw the world kind of, and maybe that sounds cliche or generic, but I feel like when I came here, you know, I kind of had an idea of, you know, like the world and what Australia would be like, or, you know, going different places and meeting different people, you know. I've learned a lot about like what makes me me and what I enjoy doing and what I'm interested in and how I interact and make friends with new people and, you know, getting involved. There's stuff here, you know, I used to volunteer all the time at home and then I kind of fell away from it, and like here I kind of got back into it. It made me realize, it made me fall back in love with things that maybe I used to do and forgot about, and all of a sudden now I'm like, I realized again, I'm like, oh, this is why I enjoy doing it. And you know, some stuff that I think I did on autopilot at home, you know, just because you're in your routine and your regiment, I've kind of realized here that no, this is the reason why I did it. I did it because I enjoyed it.
What would you say to somebody that's hesitating about doing something like this?
Anyone that thinks about studying abroad or even thinks about traveling at all, I highly recommend you have to do it. It's not even something to question. Again, I have a ton of traveling experience, but living somewhere away from everything you know, it really impacts you about kind of being your own independent person and discovering who you are and meeting new people and ideas that maybe you wouldn't necessarily think about or know about. I mean, I've learned so many different things here that I didn't even know existed in the world. And I've met so many different people that have opened my eyes to how I see, you know, different cultures and the way I live. And I have to say, like, everyone says, you know, studying abroad changes you, but it really does. Like, I'm coming back a different person than I was, and a stronger, more confident person than I was. Honestly, I would say you have to do it. It's the one thing I would say. It's one thing I wanted to do going into university, and I don't regret it for a second. I would do it all over again. So,
boom, lovely, awesome. What's been your best adventure since you've been here?
Okay, I gotta think.
Tell me a story.
There's been a lot of adventures. I think it's kind of showed me that I really could live anywhere in the world. It's something that, you know, like I thought about, and it, you know, coming here, it seems scary because it's, you know, so far away, and but like living here, it really showed me that like I honestly could see myself moving anywhere in the world. I could see myself moving back here for vet school in the future. It really just like, it shows you that there's so much to see in the world, and if anything, it makes me more excited to like travel and see like more places and new places, and you know, just kind of like see what else the world has out there. And so that's something that Melbourne has opened my eyes to, that, you know, I don't, you know, maybe I would have gotten that somewhere else, but it's special to me because it did show me that I can move halfway across the world and I can still be welcomed, and I can still learn so much, you know, culture about, you know, different people and places, and, you know, meet so many different people that I just never would imagine, you know, meeting. And it's just, I don't know, it's just something that's like, it's a very special place in my heart now, I have to say. And like, I've said this a few times at home, that at times it's actually felt more like home here than it is at home. It's just, maybe it's the people and just, again, the culture of it, but it's just, everyone here is just so friendly and so welcoming, and again, from all different parts of the world. And it kind of shows how like all different worlds can really combine, like collide and combine, and how at the end of the day, like we're all just like, we're all human beings, and we're, you know, we're all here living on the same earth and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know, it's taught me so much, and I'm very, very grateful to be here.